How are you doing? How are you feeling? How is existing today feeling to you?
I'm very excited about meeting you and connecting with you. I really like that you bring such energy and authenticity to your work, and authenticity excites me. So I'm doing well. How about yourself? How are you doing?
Very similar to you, honestly. You give me this energy of stability and respect and love and nurturing without ever having to say a word. And so, like, even just walking in and seeing you was a moment where immediately I was like, oh my God, my community, my family.
What got you into this line of work, or and I don't even like to call it work because it's really a labor of love. It seems to suit you. You seem to wear it well.
When I was looking for colleges, I was thinking about going into international relations. The one thing that stopped me from signing up for that and made me sign up for theater was I realized I'd have to wear a suit every day of my life. I hug Junior for making that decision because it was her listening to her internal self. She was saying, you know what you can't do for the rest of your life? Wear a suit and pretend to be a man all your life.
That goes to the story about me having to then go to work, and because I have an F on my birth certificate, then me having to wear a dress. My girlfriend would give me a 30-minute lecture every morning about this being a uniform. That's the only way she would get me in that dang dress. And my best friend at the time, he was a white male Republican, and he said, please stop wearing that stuff. He goes, because you can't carry the purse, you carry it like a lunch bucket. And so he
Not
would
the
carry the
lunch
purse
bucket.
for me. So you can get this big, tall, 6-foot white male in a suit carrying a purse, and then me looking like a bad drag queen. And
Oh my
it
God.
was so ugly. And then when I looked at pictures, it's like, ooh, yeah, he's right. I'm really not fooling anybody but me. And that's the thing about letting people be the authentic selves, is because, yeah, I did. I looked like a man in a dress trying to dress like a woman. And so, yeah, bingo.
Period. Nothing makes me happier about my journey than I see all the people who just nudged me into being myself. I was an RA for 3.5 years in college, helping other people come to terms with their journey and find their own language and being that person who guided other people. I was sitting there being like, I don't actually even know myself. Who am I? And that was the moment I decided to go to a drag show. I'm standing there, the one black person in the bar, staring at the one black performer on the stage and seeing her embody femininity and freedom and liberation. I, for the first time, saw something. I was like, I need to do that. And that led me into spaces with trans people and black trans people specifically, because at the end of the night, they were so ready to strip everything off, but the last thing they wanted to take off was the face, because that's the one thing that kept people calling them she, her pronouns. And then realizing, oh, wait a moment, I feel the exact same way. And to this day now, me and my mom have conversations where she's like, oh yeah, like Junior, I knew it from the moment I saw you. That validation of getting to look deeper into myself and say, she's been here all along. It's just been all of the minutia in society that has been clouding my vision of myself.
And I think you hit on something really great there, is that sometimes you need other people to give you that permission. For me, that was my parents. I knew that I was trans even before you could speak, because when people would use the word she, for me, I would even cry as a kid before, because I understood words. Like I could read by 3. My mother would want to dress me very frilly because I always looked like a little boy. And then it got to the point where my father would just drive me to school every day, and he would let me dress the way I wanted to dress. There were no words exchanged, but he would see me look at those clothes in terror, and then he would just be like, do what you want to do. When she would come home in the evening time and ask me, did I wear those frilly clothes, I knew to look up at him and not answer, because I couldn't lie to either parent. And then he would answer. So then I knew he became my shield at 5 on. And there was no support. There was nobody you could call for a support group or anything. Back then, if you came out trans, no matter what you were, you lost your job. period, the end. And while unemployment and underemployment is still an issue for trans people, it was really an issue then. And so I lost my one high-paying job for my career. It was over, and since then I've been rebuilding continuously, nonstop, and that was a lot of years ago. And so, but I think what it did was validate me and the decisions I made, that even though I lost my job, I was free. And I said, from that day on, there are no more secrets in my life.
For me, the people who could cause me the deepest pain are the people who I care the most about, my family. Coming out to them as trans and saying to them face to face, this is how you will address me, this is who I am, this is what my pronouns are. Anything short of that, you don't get response from me, you don't get access to me, because at the end of the day, you have to respect me to get to me. Being yourself and declaring who you are in this world is not something that society ever encourages. It encourages you to box yourself in and limit yourself and strip pieces of yourself away. So that's part of what I try to do with my artwork and every single event I throw and every single space and community I curate, which is making sure that people realize the power is truly deeply within them to own exactly who they are, because the world will not encourage it. That, for me, is the greatest joy of my life. So, do you want to talk about you speaking to Congress?
Sure. I always saw myself as this policy wonk, and that's part of what I do. And so I had been lobbying on the Employment Non-Discrimination Act for years and years and years. And it finally made it to Congress. I got a call at my law office. I picked up the phone, and they're like, we need you to testify next week in D.C. Oh, okay, no problem. So it was a week from that day.
Wow.
It wasn't about me. Is the whole thing about when I do activism. It's about us. So I had to call on the group of people that I'd been working with for years around the country and say, hey, I can write a draft, but I'm going to need everybody's input because this testimony is about us as a community.
Well, Mr. Brodus, thank you very much. I am told by my staff that you are indeed the first transgendered individual to ever testify before the U.S. Senate.
I'm one of the fortunate people that is employed. There are many more people like me that are not employed as a result of just being who they are, being good workers, but being transgender or transsexual. So I think it's extremely important that this bill be passed to protect workers like me.
And from the commentary I got back from people, I did that. No matter where they were or who they were or what race they were or if they were binary or whatever, I told their story. And that makes me very emotional because that was the intent. My emotion definitely would show because I've been through hell and back. And I'm glad to be back.
Yes.
Because you bring all that fire back from hell to deliver it here.
And we're thankful to have you back. And for me, one of my favorite things in the world is being a drag preacher, because I think that what preachers do is they help people connect, whether that be to yourself, to a higher being, to other people. Growing up in the Black Baptist Church, I never really connected to the message. But I do really connect to the fact that people feel free and liberated here. I always wanted to be one of the Black women in the choir who is just bearing her soul to her higher being, whoever that higher being may be to her. And for me, it's love. I always say you're never booking me for a performance or a number, you're booking me for my voice. And I'm so thankful that I've learned to hone my voice because I can actively preach to people. I can stand up and tell them about my journey and what I've gone through, and it will light something in them that will make them realize their own power. It's making that connection to people through myself and making them connect to their power, to whatever it is. That's why I really call myself a drag preacher.
I love that though, connecting people, which is very good, and what preachers do.
In the spirit of connection, I'm just so thankful because you represent something that I can connect to in terms of my community and the power that I have within myself. I want the older generations to know that, like, we're so proud to stand on your shoulders. We're a part of you. And we want you in our spaces.
Well, and Junior, that's really great to hear because I don't think that the older generation hears that or even feels that a lot of times. And from you, I've heard that from the moment you hit the door. I don't know who set the watch or the clock, but I'm not going anywhere. So we can't do anything without each other. And if we allow ageism of any kind, then we're doing our whole movement a disservice.
It breaks my heart at the fact that this is my first time getting to share a space with you. Like, why have I not been able to commune with you before? Why have I not been able to share space and get to have conversations before? Ageism cannot be allowed. Ageism cannot be condoned. Ageism cannot be, you can't be complacent with it, because how dare we stand on your shoulders and only look up? How dare we?
Right. When I came out, there were no visible elders. And, you know, I certainly never saw us at this stage where we have visible elders, but we don't want anything to do with them. So the few that we have, because our lives don't extend, most guys my age have either been killed, which we don't want to talk about as well, or killed themselves by suicide. And so most people don't even make it to my age.
Us just existing is beyond what anybody else has to contend with. And our beauty is limitless. It knows no depth. I'm thankful that we got you at all. Days where I don't think I can get out of bed or get out of my apartment, I think of people like you.
Yeah.
And then I look at the mirror and I say, what's my excuse?
Well, you're badass, I have to tell you that. And it is hard to be trans, but it's doubly hard to be Black and trans, especially in this country. So, and people don't get that, which is why I've almost ended up dead the natural way and the unnatural way.
For the first time, I can say I truly see my beauty, my worth, and my value so clearly because of these conversations. So thank you for having this conversation with me.
Well, and thank you. It's very nice to meet you and hear your story. And that's what I think is important about us connecting, is hearing each other's story. So
I agree.
exactly.